Hello and welcome to all those who are fortunate enough to watch this presentation. My name is Kristen Pons and today we will be discussing recreational water parks. Great business but a waste of water. Before we dive into the presentation, I'd like to give a little background. I am currently majoring in business and I am from California, so I personally have been affected by the drought, and so I thought it would be interesting to dive into researching how people are actually profiting off of this drastic drop. So here are two photos, one taken in 2011, one taken in 2014, of the Oro Valley Dam Reservoir just north of Sacramento. 2011, obviously prior to the drought, 2014 in the midst of the drought. I would like to say earlier stages, because the drought does get worse and the water supply does get lower than what you see in this photo. Here's another photo taken in San Francisco. I would just like to show how there is little to no vegetation. Everything is pretty much brown, and that's what it looks like overall in California. And so then we dive into what exactly has the drought affected. Domestic life, agricultural life, wildlife. More specifically, with domestic life, water supply is low and water quality is low. Agricultural life, $2.7 billion are lost in 2015 in crop revenue, and overall 21,000 jobs were lost. In wildlife, many species became endangered, whether they didn't have the water supply to sustain their lives, or if they lived in wetlands, their homes were ultimately destroyed. The dryness of the vegetation also caused several wildfires, which leaded to more drastic impacts of the drought. People's homes were burnt down. The pollution from the fires went into already low water supply, such and such. And so then we go on to see that Californians during this drought attempt to drastically cut back as much as possible in whatever ways they can. They take shorter showers. A lot of times homeowners replace their lawns with gravel in attempts to not water at all. Things like recycling waters from their baths and such things like that. And despite their best efforts, we have these water parks that business owners continue to operate. This park specifically is Waterworld in Concord, California, and they continue to operate all seasons during the drought. What you should know about water parks is that they are seasonally operated 80 to 100 days, usually during the spring and summertime, the hotter weather days. These parks are filled at the start of the season, and they are refilled about 2 to 3 times to maintain water levels during the season. And depending on the square footage of the park, it can take millions of gallons to fill, thousands to refill during the season. And the overall purpose of you knowing this is that take into account that millions of gallons of water were used for people to just swim around in, despite domestic life, agricultural life, and wildlife being affected by the drought. Now, the purpose of these business owners to continue operating is the fact that in a year they can bring in as much as $1 billion in revenue. Although it is very selfish to continue operating water parks when something as drastic as the California drought is happening. So in conclusion, if water park owners had stopped operating during some seasons during the drought, these millions of gallons could have been put to, let's say, agricultural life, which doesn't only affect California but also affects many states, because we provide many of crops to other states. Thank you for watching.